So our session today is called Communicating Your Good. And like I said, my name is Michael Hetrick. I'm the communications manager here. But first, I also want to introduce Rebecca Berkeley. She is our Director of Communications and Marketing here at the East Texas Food Bank. Rebecca's been here just short of a year. She came and joined us in November. So Rebecca, you want to do a little background about yourself?
Sure, and welcome to everybody. I'm so glad you came to join us today. So I spent the first part of my career actually in the news media, working in both radio and television, and then went on to public relations and worked for 16 years for hospital in their marketing and communications department for another nonprofit, and now very excited to join the East Texas Food Bank. So I'm so glad to be with you today.
And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Michael Hedrick, Communications Manager. I've been here for about a little over 12 years at the East Texas Food Bank in communications. Prior to that, I worked 7.5 years at KLTV as both a news editor and a meteorologist. So yes, I can tell you what the weather's going to be, but please don't get mad at me when I get if it's wrong. But I have been here, and I know probably most of you either through agency conference or if you've seen me at the food bank. So that's what we are. So that's us. And we're going to do a couple of different things for you today. The one thing I did want to remind you all of is do not forget to register for the free grants giveaway that's coming up this afternoon after lunch and then after the keynote speaker. Again, that address should be in your chat box, but just in case it's not, you can write it down. It's etfb.link/grants. And we only need one person from each agency to register for that. And we will do the drawing for the names and play the game this afternoon to give away all sorts of grant money. So make sure you register for that. We definitely want you to do that. So etfb.link/grants, or there is that QR code that you can scan. All right, so we're gonna, so we call this session Communicate Your Good because we're all doing a lot of good in what we're doing, whether that's the food bank, whether that's your agency. But a lot of times we hear from our partners that, well, we're doing all this good, but we just can't get any media coverage, or we don't know how to get our communities to find out about us or how we can get out our message. So that's what we're here today to talk to you about through a couple different methods of how you can communicate what you're doing in your community and in your city and in your county to get more people to know about your services and, of course, help provide support for your services as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca first, and she's going to talk a little bit about some media relations and some things that you can do with that.
All right, thank you, Michael. I'm going to share my screen now. So I wanted to talk with you today about how you can effectively work with the news media. I know for a lot of people, when they hear that the media is coming, everybody starts freaking out about it and are typically scared to work with them, just not sure about the whole process of how it works. And today, that's something I want to talk to you about, how easy it is to actually get them to come and cover your pantry or what you're doing, your event, and to not be scared about it, and that actually it's a really positive thing so people can learn about what you're doing in your community. So one of the first things that you should do in your own county that you live in is identify who actually are the media sources in your area. So because we have people here in counties all over East Texas, some of you have different television markets than the other. For those of you here in the central part of East Texas, you typically are the Tyler, Longview, Lufkin market. And those are the three main television stations that we work with here. The ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliate, and the NBC and Fox are one station. So they typically will share the news with each other. If you are closer to the Louisiana border, you probably watch the Texarkana Shreveport market. So that is a different set of stations that you would actually pitch your story to. And then those of you who are kind of close to the Dallas area, I know in Van Zandt County, Henderson County, and so forth, you actually can see and watch the Dallas stations. Those are not ones that I typically and send stories to. So I did list the stations there for you. But you can go to their websites, and they will have a place on their websites where they're going to list how to get news releases or information to them if you want them to cover your story. And so that's one of the first things, is figure out in your market where you live, who are the, which television market is it that you're actually going to be working with. One of the things I will tell you is that some people right away, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to call a television station. But as we're going to share with you, all media outlets have to come up with stories every day to fill the time on the air, if it's radio or television. And then newspaper, they also have to fill, we are seeing less print copies, but they still have so much copy that they have to write and to produce each day. So they all need something to fill that time or that space with. And so please don't ever feel like my event, my pantry doesn't have enough to share and I don't want to contact one of them. Believe me, they want to hear from you. And so these are the resources of who you will call or contact if you want to do that. So on the other side here, this is other list I want you to think about, is you need to figure out in your county that you live in, many of them still have a newspaper. It may be only digital. So many are no longer doing print versions of it. So figure out which county you live in and who your newspaper is. The same with radio stations. That picture there is actually one we did an interview in Wood County this year with KMOO, which is a very dominant station in that area. And we were starting a new mobile pantry. So we definitely want it to be on their radio network because we know a lot of the local people listen to that. They're not listening to Tyler radio stations. Maybe they're listening to the stations in their area. So try to identify that newspaper and the radio. And sometimes some of them have local magazines. Here in Tyler, we have Tyler Today, but there's also some different publications out in East Texas. And so see what you actually are finding. Sometimes they put those at local businesses and you might pick it up and look inside and see if they list how to contact them. A lot of them have websites, of course, and you can find them that way. The other resource I will give you is you have to think that today we don't know how people always receive the information in their community because there's so many different ways than there used to be. And Michael, in a little bit, will go over social media, but this is still what we call traditional media. And you have to think outside of the box besides newspaper, radio, and television. So another way to get your message out would be your local chamber of commerce. A lot of them are having weekly information that they send out to their members, and that is an excellent way to make sure that your event or the services you provide are getting out to all of the people, because that's how the word gets spread. And many of them have calendars on their websites and so forth that they would be able to also share that information. The same with, there are some businesses who seek out different information, or maybe they're a partner with you and they're going to come volunteer and they put that information and share it maybe on their social media or so forth. So you definitely want to stay in touch with anyone who's relative to your businesses. Churches, of course, have lots of newsletters that they give out to their congregation each week. And so that's another one that if you have something in their area, you might research what churches, places of worship, or in your direct vicinity, and see if they might put that information inside one of their bulletins. And also, let's don't forget our local colleges. Sometimes they also have internal newsletters and so forth that they're giving out to their students. And if that is someone you're trying to reach as far as maybe being a volunteer, or maybe they need to know about the resources that you're offering, that is another one that you should seek out and try to see if they have any way that you can also disseminate anything that you need to them. So let's talk about how we actually pitch a story to the news media. So the first thing you're going to want to do, as we pointed out, is figure out who is in your area that actually covers any kind of news. And then you need to find an email address. And if you don't see one on their website, I would call them and ask them, where is a place that we can send a potential news release to? And who is the correct person? A lot of times, as you saw on that other slide, it's just a general inbox, but sometimes it's a specific person in the smaller towns that you might be actually pitching it to. And when you send that email to them, you need to give very clear information about what you're trying to convey. So let's say you're wanting to tell them that we have a new food pantry and we just want to get the word out that we're actually doing this. Make sure you include everything that you think that they might need to know, the name of the hours, the address, who we're serving, just all these different things. We call them all the why questions. and I would send that to them. You can make it in a formal news release format, and if you don't know how to do that, you also can just, like I said, send this very general information to it. Make sure it's very clear and concise. Give a contact person who they can call back with a phone number and an email. And then if you don't hear back from someone within a few days, then I would definitely follow back up with a phone call and try to contact people and see if they got the email, if they're interested, and if they're so, how you can move forward. So once you actually pitch an event, you're going to decide who is going to be available at that event for interviews. And it's so important to make sure that you have not just your spokesperson for your group, but also I like to have people that you're actually serving. So let's say you are a food pantry, try to have some of the people that you serve there who are willing to share their story as to why they are coming to a pantry and what they're getting out of it. That is so important to not just have what we call officials, because stories are not about officials. I always say they're about people. And there are reporters who take what we call the easy way out. And if there's just officials, that's all they're going to do. But if you really want people to understand more about your mission, it is always great to have those people that you actually serve. Also make sure they're willing to be photographed or videotaped. So many people that say, oh, you can talk to me, but I don't want to be on camera. Well, you know, if you're inviting the television out, they're going to want it to be on camera. They don't want just a quote. The newspaper will take just a quote, but sometimes they're even want a photograph for the newspaper, and the same with the radio, because they post all of this on their social media. So make sure everybody's comfortable. We actually have a consent form that we have people sign. If you feel like that's something legally you need, you might consider that. But typically the media, just when they're coming to things, they are not out having to get consent forms, but sometimes the entities, we actually have to do that. So as far as the best hours when you're inviting the media to come cover your event, I always say daytime hours. That's the 10 to 2 time frame. It's very hard to get them at night because they just don't have the personnel to cover it anymore. Weekends are also difficult. But if you have an event going on and you want them to come out and cover it, that is kind of the best time frame. If it's a little bit earlier, that's okay. A little bit later, but again, some of those other hours, it is more difficult to get them to come in. You know, to have people that actually can come work that. So, and as we mentioned, everything just needs visuals. So make sure that you have something for them to see. You don't want to invite them to your pantry and say, well, you can just shoot the person who's registering everybody. You want to make sure that they have the opportunity to show everything about that, because they're going to need those pictures, because people want to see that. Today, still on everything that we see, all of the stats that come out, videos are still doing very well as far as what people want to watch. And I think Michael will get into that when you do social media posts, those that have a photograph or a video are going to be looked at more than those that just have words. So that's why it's so important to have the visuals to tell the story. And the other thing is, if you're going on a radio program, so a lot of the radio programs, they still have to do public affairs shows to fulfill that time requirement that they have. And so you might call some of your local radio stations and ask if they have these public affairs shows, or sometimes they just put you on during their programs. And the smaller stations still do some local, where some of them no longer it's local, it's more of a national thing, so they may not have that opportunity. But we try to go on as many of these programs as we can. And it's a great opportunity. Sometimes you get like 10 minutes, which is an eternity in a broadcast media. And what I typically do is I give the host ahead of time. So I will send this to them, like a little outline about us. And it kind of gives them some idea of what kind of questions to ask us, because sometimes they have no idea what to ask you. So you want to give them an outline, so that way they can kind of decide, you know, how the show is going to go and things, and always end with a call to action at the end to your website or your phone number. So if people have any questions, that they can reach you and they can go from there. So this gives you a little bit of the basics about the news media and what we do. We try to, from the food bank, we are trying to do a story at least one a week, sometimes more than that. But it's just important to continue to get your message out. Like I said, we don't know how people receive their news anymore. So if you can control the message and do it through the media, that's a great way to do it. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take those at this time.
I will make a mention here quickly too. For those of you who have been part of our Agency Institute in the past few years, Rebecca and I do a couple of sessions in Agency Institute. One of them is dealing with how to tell your story. And we talk about things like storytelling and elevator speeches. And then we do another session on working with the media. So we show you how to do press releases and media advisories and working with the media and doing some social media stuff. So for those of you who have already attended that, you already kind of have a background in that. But for those of you who have not been part of Agency Institute, I'm not exactly sure when they're doing registrations and things for that. They do pick some agencies each year, but definitely talk to your agency services rep about that and see if that's something that is possible for you. Because not only do we do a couple sessions, there's a lot of other sessions that can give you some information too.
And Michael, you want to play that news story? We actually have an example for you guys. This is a pantry here in Tyler that reached out to the media, and they wanted to have them come do a story about what they actually do. So I'd like you to take a look at that.
Yep, I will do it. Sorry.
Bible Church teamed back up with the East Texas Food Bank to offer food to those in need.
KLTV Sarai Bonds was at today's food drive.
It just so happened that the food bank was kind of doing this, thinking the same thing and seeing the same need, and so they reached out to us a little over a year ago, wanting to know if we will partner with them.
Ricky Garner is the pastor at Bethel Bible Church's Hope Campus. Since starting this partnership, Garner says that they now serve around 250 to 300 families on the first Wednesday of every month.
No requirements, no ID, no anything required. It's just drive up and pick up the food and go.
All you have to do is drive into the parking lot and tell a volunteer how many people you need food for. Due to inflation and the rising cost of food, he's seeing an increase in cars lining up to receive food.
So every month, we see a great number of people that line up fairly early, well before we get started, to come and get the food.
The East Texas Food Bank offers a different variety of foods depending on the season and the time of year.
I know we have sweet potatoes, we have white potatoes, and we got lots of good cabbages, so that kind of stuff that the good home cooking. You can take it and make a good, healthy dish out of it.
Jude Bayleaf is a volunteer and a member of the Bethel Bible Church. Garner mentions that there is no limit to how much food one can receive.
Especially in this part of the community, in this part of our city, for healthy food choices that may not always be readily available.
Garner says helping provide a space to distribute food to the community makes him feel as if he's helping out on a great cause.
I think it's, meeting a great need, and we're happy to be able to do that.
Sarai Bonds, KLTV 7 News.
That's
The next
a great
food giveaway
example
will take
there.
place at the Bible Hope Campus on Wednesday.
So that's a great example there of a news story that they pitched to them, and they came out and did one of their pantries. And so that's something that you definitely can do if you have something that you want to share. So, and also if you have any questions that you don't want to tell to us verbally right now, please feel free to send us an email. And I think Michael has our email address.
Yeah, or you can post them in the chat. And Margaret posted in there that I'm reading what she said, so you can all see this. Michael and Rebecca did an amazing job of giving us info at the Institute last year. Very appreciative. We were able to attend. If you have an opportunity, grab that chance. Absolutely, you really should. Beyond what we're going to talk about, during that, there's so much great information in that Agency Institute that will really help your agencies grow and learn and do. So definitely do take advantage of that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit about, now, yes, the media is very important. It's one of our primary things here at the food bank that we work on a lot, both newspaper, radio, television. But another thing that we all know has really grown in popularity and has really become a key in how you're communicating your good with the people you serve, the people who support you, is social media. Now, granted, I could probably do a whole day on session on social media, different platforms and how to use them and what works and what doesn't and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have that long of time to really discuss that. But the major one I wanted to focus on today is Facebook, because I know most of our agencies have at least some sort of Facebook page that you're using to help communicate what you're doing and how you're helping and all of that. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of some tips, some advice, maybe answer some questions that you might have about certain things, and show you some ways that you can actually get your message out further by spending a very small amount of money. And we've actually done a lot of work on this here in-house with ads and boosted posts. So we have some pretty good experience and knowledge of how effective they are. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at our Facebook page here at the Food Bank and how and kind of how this whole thing works, because I know a lot of you might not be Facebook experts. I am not a Facebook expert. I probably am just slightly above novice, probably kind of mid-range. And as we all know with Facebook, anytime you go to do something, about 3 to 6 months later, they've changed it and they've made it a little bit different. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So this is our current Facebook page here that we have at the Food Bank that you can get to at facebook.com/etfoodbank. Obviously, we've talked about Hunger Action Month. This picture up here at the top, this is called your cover photo. You really want to have something up here that's engaging, that tells people what's going on, all of that. We try to change this out every month to month and a half. Obviously, when September's over, we're going to have to change this to something else because it's not going to be Hunger Action Month anymore. So you'll definitely want to have something up there that that is engaging so people can see it. But as we scroll down, the one thing I wanted to talk about today is talking about your posts. And when we're looking at posts, a lot of times, obviously, we type in our text, we put in our graphic that we're gonna do. And in this case, this is an event that's starting tonight that's actually benefiting us here at the Food Bank. But how many of you have seen this little blue button down here called Boost Post? Okay, this is really effective because I'm sure that a lot of you have seen that when you go in to look at what's called your insights or how many people have seen your posts, you look at it and go, well, Michael, I don't understand. I have 12,000 people who follow me, but my message only showed to 200 people. And the reason for that, there's a lot of reasons for that, but a lot of it is because Facebook uses an algorithm. We talk about this a lot in social media, the algorithm of how it decides. So that algorithm is what's deciding what's pushed out to people that follow you, what's pushed out to others. You know, when you look at your Facebook page, when you look at your Facebook feed, a lot of times you see a bunch of junk that you don't really care about, but you do still see all the other stuff that you care about. Well, that's the algorithm trying to figure you out, what's important to you and what's not important to you. We talk about one of the things that happens is that, you watch one cat video and all of a sudden you get 10 cat videos that pop up somewhere, so that does happen. They do kind of follow what you're watching and what you're doing. So what this boost post is here is this is a way that you can boost by paying paying some money to make sure that people see that. So I'm not going to actually boost this one, but I'm going to go through the process so you understand kind of how it works. Let's say, for instance, I've got an event coming up at my pantry, or I've got something that I really want people in my community to see beyond what my followers might see. I might decide to go down here and go, you know what, I want to boost this so that more people can see it. So I just have to click this little boost post button, and it takes me to a different screen where I can go in and set up some conditions and some parameters for this. Now, you obviously have to have what we call a business page on Facebook, which most of you should be set up that way if you're a pantry. As a quote business, even though you're not a business, it's really like business and organizations. And then you can go in and set up ad accounts and stuff, because what you're essentially doing is you're essentially making an ad for other people to see. It's just not really called that, it's just called Boost Post in this case. So your first thing you're going to figure out is, what is your goal going to be? What results do you want from the ad? Now, primarily, probably 90% of the time, you're going to want to do this one down here where it says get more engagements. And what get more engagements will do is this will show your ad or your post to people who are likely to react, comment, and share. So that's people who are going to probably click that like button. They're going to click the share and share it onto their page or share it onto other organization pages, or they're going to make comments and ask you questions or, tag other people or something like that. Now, in a case of maybe you want to do something like you have an event, you want to sell more tickets or something like that. Well, then you might want to go one up here where it's website purchases. Show your ad to people who are most likely to buy from you. In this case, maybe you are selling tickets to a gala or a dinner or some kind of thing. One other thing you might want to look at is getting more website visitors. So let's say, for instance, you've got something on your website, or you're rolling out a new website or something like that. Maybe you want to get more website visitors to talk about it with that. So in this case, we're just going to say get more engagements. So I'm going to tell it that's what I want it to do. And it's going to go down here now, and it's going to ask you about the button. And what the button is, and for those of you who've looked at Facebook before, you see kind of a post or an ad looking thing, and there's that button that says learn more, donate now, book us. There's several different versions. You can send message, sign up, call now, any of those type of things. So you can actually put that button in there. For this post that's just about an event that's the third party is doing for us, I don't really need a button for that. So I just say no button. And as you're making some of these changes, you'll see things, change over here. So for example, if I needed a button for it, I could do learn more, and you can kind of see in the preview over here what it will look like. It'll give you the learn more thing, and then you can update your website to whatever you want. So in this case, we're just going to say no button, and I'm going to continue to scroll down. And I'm going to skip this part about special ad category. And in this case, if it's anything about credit, employment, housing, social issues, elections, or politics, you actually have to apply to Facebook to make certain types of ads for that. They're just trying to weed out any bad people who are making posts. That's what that is. So in this case, we don't have to deal with that. Hunger, actually, while it is a social issue, it's not something that Facebook flags as something that they have to go in and really verify and credit type of thing. So we don't usually have to do that. So then we go down here to the audience, and this is the part that's really important. What you want to do when you're talking about what your audience is, a lot of times we think of our audience as, well, we just want our people who like our page. Well, again, you're only looking at a segment of your audience at that point. If you're going to have an event, you're going to want everybody in your community to know about it, right? Or everybody in your county, or in our case, we might have something that we want all 26 counties to know about. So we go in here and we can target where we want that to be. So a couple of options you can choose here. This advantage audience is a new thing. I wouldn't really mess with this a whole lot. What this does is it kind of looks at all the people who follow you, their likes and dislikes and groups and things like that, and tries to target, what you're going to reach. So I don't mess with this one at all usually, but the ones that we do like to use a lot are people you choose through targeting. And what that is I'm going to choose the locations and the distance that I want to show my ad. So this was a Tyler event that's happening today. So I'm going to click on the pencil and I'm going to say, I want all genders. Now you might have events that might just cater to men. You might have events that just cater to women. So you can actually pick how you want your event to show up. And in this case, I'm just going to leave it at 18 to 65 plus. This is a shopping event. Obviously adults probably are going to be the primary audience there. But if you have a kid event, like you're having a kids expo, or you're having something that, obviously you're going to be talking to parents, but you might want to show it. It could be a volunteer thing, for example. Maybe you're doing something and you want, young people, say 15 to 30 to come to, or something like that. You can actually adjust that down here and make those age guidelines be a little bit different. Then down here, since this is an event for Tyler, I'm just going to say Tyler, Texas, and it's going to come up and show me Tyler, Texas, United States. All right. So now it's going to say, it's going to put Tyler in, and it's going to show this diameter around it, 25 miles. So I can make the determination of, okay, yeah, all those areas, I'm fine with all those areas seeing my message. Maybe I want to include Longview in that. Maybe I want to include Whitman, Gilmer, wherever. I can actually adjust this to make it a little bit bigger. So in this case, I'm just going to focus on mainly Tyler. So I'm going to say 20 miles around Tyler. And what you're going to see down here is it's going to tell you what's called your estimated audience size. So this is saying that your audience in this is between 186 and 291,000. So I'm just going to save my audience there. So now you'll see that it's updated here to say Tyler, Texas, plus 20 miles around Tyler for that. Now, if I want to go in and add, let's say I'm going to do Longview. In this case, I probably wouldn't, but because it's just in a Tyler event, but I could say Longview. I could say 20 miles around Longview. I could even add that in there too. So just for the giggles on this, we'll add to that. All right, so now I've got people in Longview, people in Tyler. So now that's going to be pushed out in my ad. On the right side here, you're going to see what's called the estimated daily results. So this is telling you that according to Facebook, you should reach between 678 and 2,000 people a day. Your engagement's 172 to 499. What counts as an engagement? That's anytime somebody clicks a like button, they make a post, they share. So again, these are estimated numbers. They're not going to be perfect. You just know that when you do that, it's just the best estimate they can give you. So after you do that, you're going to set your number of days that you're going to run it. So let's say, for instance, this was something that I posted on our Facebook page. It's really not an event, and that's going to happen a week later. I would go on and say it's in 7 days. It's going to end on this day. You should always try, if you're going to boost post, you want to try to do it as far in advance as you can, because Facebook does actually go in and look at each one of your boost posts. And even though they don't edit your content or do anything like that for a regular post, when you're paying for it, they actually have to look at it and approve it. And a lot of times it's quick. A lot of times it can take about 24 hours for them to approve. So if it's something that's really important, you want to get out quickly, you want to try to be ahead of it as much as possible. So what we do, a lot of these boost posts are for our new mobile pantries, for example. You might see a post from us about Frankston, and then we boost post that in Frankston, but we try to do that at least a week ahead of time so that it can get out in the feed and it can show up and all of that. So here's the part that is very interesting. After you've decided how long you're going to run it, what you're going to do, you can actually set your budget. Now, for a lot of people, you may not want to do $40 for a budget. That's fine. You can actually drag this down to about $20, or you can drag it down lower if you want. However, Facebook is always going to tell you, if you want optimum results, here's kind of the budget you should set for this particular thing. As you remember, we're trying to reach a lot of people in Tyler Longview. So, a small budget's probably not going to reach our goal. But if we do say $30, it's going to at least maybe reach where our goal is. And you can set it higher than that. And the more that you increase this budget, the more people and the more post engagements you're going to get. Now, I know for a lot of people, you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't have the budget for that. So I would really think, if you really want to get those people engaged and seeing what's going on, really look into getting just a little bit of money. It doesn't have to be much. Like we said, you could even do it as low as $20, $30 for a post, and you can get that message pushed out. And then when you're done, you'll click the blue post now or boost post now button, and that will actually send it to Facebook for approvals. And then they usually will send you either an email back or a notification up to say whether it's been approved or not approved, and how you go through that. So that's kind of an easy way that you can get some posts that you're making on your Facebook page out to more people to be seen. And I'll just give you an example of one here. Let me get back to our page. Let me scroll down and find one. Let me see. So here is a post we did yesterday for the Smith County Food Security Council's Produce Distribution and Roadshow that's coming up in a couple of weeks. We help kind of share and get that information out. When I look at my insights for this, it's going to show me, well, I had 218 impressions and I reached 217 people. Obviously, that's a low number compared to the number of people that we actually have watching our page. So if this was something that I really wanted to get a lot of people out or to know about, then I would do a boost post and try to boost it mainly around the Tyler area for that. One that did pretty good for us, this was the Frankston Mobile Pantry. We showed some pictures. We did the Frankston Mobile Pantry earlier this week. We showed some pictures. Well, let's look at what we've got. We've got 20 engagements and likes and loves and hugs and all that kind of stuff. We had some comments and some shares, but you'll notice here our impressions were higher, our post reach was higher, our engagements were also much higher as well. And then I'll do one more where we actually paid for the post. Let me go down here and find it. Okay, so this was us announcing the distribution in Frankston. On September 13th from 10 to 12, we made a little graphic for it and all that. You can now see that our post impressions much higher, almost 12,000 impressions. We reached just over 7,000 people with that post. Why did that happen? Because we paid Facebook to boost the post. You know, Facebook's a business too. So if you really, if you're really wanting to get your message out there, you're gonna have to pay a little bit for that. That's not to say that your regular posts and your organic posts aren't gonna do great too. But again, they're a business and they like to make money too. So, you know, we have to come to the table and do those things as well. So that's kind of some easy ideas that you can kind of look at in Facebook. Obviously, like Rebecca was saying earlier, the things that do well on Facebook are always going to be pictures, especially if it's pictures of the families and the people that you're serving. Those always do great. Videos used to do well. They still do to a certain extent, although that's kind of going away a little bit. It used to be several years ago that when you posted on Facebook, it was like the algorithm loved videos, loved them. That's kind of moved down just a little bit. It's not quite as much anymore, but the algorithm still loves pictures. You know, it loves galleries. It loves all of those kind of things. So we really try to do as much of the pictures and graphics and things as we can. The other thing that's really nice is sharing stuff. So for example, you see something on our Facebook page or you see something with another place that you're working with and you think it's great and it's beneficial, share that to your page. That helps boost out a lot too. So that's kind of a quick, easy thing on how to do that. I know it can be overwhelming when it comes to doing Facebook ads and things like that. The boost post is kind of an easy way to do ads. There's another way you can do it by actually making a ad that doesn't show up in your Facebook feed, or I'm sorry, doesn't show up on your Facebook page. So for example, if you've got something that you don't really want to post on your Facebook page, but maybe you want to send it out to a specific area, you can actually go through and create an ad for it and it will run, you know, in the sidebar, it'll run in the feeds later. That's a little more complicated in setup, so I don't want to go into all that. We've done that. We've done a few of those as well. But this is kind of an easy way that if you've got something out there and you want to send it out, it's really the easiest and quickest way to do it. So does anybody have any questions on any Facebook things or social media in general, or how things work, or any of that kind of stuff? Unmute yourself and ask. I know a lot of you, obviously, I know a lot of you have Facebook pages for your organizations, partially because either you tag us in something, or we, a lot of times we tag you, or vice versa, or we see the stuff that you're doing sometimes. But definitely, you're always welcome to tag us in some things. That actually helps us find what you're doing quicker than having to kind of search and look for your pages. So you're always welcome to tag us. That's great. We'll always see it. We'll go over, we'll like it, and all of that. And sometimes we share some stuff that you all are doing too, if we see it. Any questions from anybody?
I have one.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of our people, when we post something like we have extras, they always say, well, I didn't get the post till after 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So again, it goes back to that algorithm thing of, it's kind of the way that Facebook does it. We can make a post at 11 in the morning and sometimes people don't see it until night. And it's unfortunate. It used to be that when Facebook first started, you would load your Facebook feed and you would see everything recent. It would be just like posted 2 minutes ago, posted 5 minutes,
Right.
ago, posted 10 minutes ago. So it was great because you could see everything. Twitter is that way, where you're seeing everything just boom, 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 right away. Facebook doesn't do that anymore. That they've got the algorithm going now to where it's like, well, we'll show you 2 or 3 recent things, but oh yeah, here's something that happened yesterday, and oh hey, here's something that someone paid for you to see, and here's some junk that you don't really care about, in your feed. So it's that algorithm. The one thing that does help you with the algorithm, I will tell you, is to make posts fairly frequently. And I'm talking at least maybe once a day, maybe once every couple of days. That helps you get up in that algorithm to get out to more people. We try to post every day here, Monday through Friday. Occasionally we
Right.
post on the weekends too. But we do also try to do that fairly frequently. Now, it does help that we also pay a little bit in Facebook also,
Right.
look at us as, they're paying us for some other things. So yes, we might get a little more preferential treatment on that. But yeah, that's true too. Let's see, Elaine Johnson here said, you can go to your settings and select view newest or latest, and you'll see those latest posts from those you follow. That used to be the default. Yes, it's an issue. You're right, Elaine. You are absolutely correct. You can go to your feeds. The mobile app used to have it where you could do feeds recent, and it would show you all the recent stuff. They took that away and changed it to something else. But if you go in Facebook, I believe if you look on the side, there's a thing called most recent that you can click on, and it will actually show you all the recent stuff. Otherwise it kind of gives you what it thinks what it thinks you want to know, and may not always be the case.
Okay, well, that'll help, because I can always tell, because I have people that come by and say, well, I didn't see it. Well, if I can tell them that they can go and choose most recent, maybe they can see them sooner.
Yeah, it's a problem. I wish, they would just change it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else have a question or comment or anything like that? All right. Well, one more thing before I let you go here. Let me do this again. Excuse me. That Rebecca just said here a second ago. Here's how you can actually get a hold of us. You can always call the food bank and ask for us. But here are our email addresses. And you're always welcome to give us a call or send us an email to ask a question. Hey, I've got, something coming up. What is your advice to who should I talk to? Oh, hey, Rebecca, the media is coming, is it okay if we say this, whatever the case may be. The other thing is that we do, while it's not mandated, we do always like for you, if you're going to be in a news story or something like that, definitely give us a call and let us know, just so we can look out for it and make sure we look at it and see, because we want to celebrate your accomplishments too in your communities as well. And, we want to share that with our folks to let them know what's happening as well. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got. Rebecca, do you have anything else?
No, thank you guys.
Yep. Just let us know if we can help you. And those of you who, again, haven't taken Agency Institute again, I'd highly recommend it if it becomes available for you to do that, because we'd love to see you there. So, all right. Don't forget, register for grants, because I want to make sure we give away money this afternoon. And Tim said I could give away a lot. So make sure you sign up for it, because it'll be fun this afternoon.